Here are three things I learned this year as a teacher. The first one I already knew, but it's always nice to be reminded of it. And that is that teaching's all about relationships. The best part about teaching is forming those relationships with your students. And I have two students in particular that come to my mind regarding this past year. One of them is a young gentleman, and towards the beginning of the year, we would talk a little bit, and he always participated in class, and everything was great with that. But then we started talking about things besides history. I teach history. One thing we started talking about was finances. I forgot exactly how we got on the topic, but he started getting interested in finance. And that's kind of like a little side passion of mine. I love stocks and the finances and things of that sort. And we started talking. And before I know it, he started telling me how he always wanted to start a business. And then I recalled a book that I read when I was a little bit younger. And it's called Robert Kiyosaki's book. It's called Rich Dad Poor Dad. And I remember I actually gave that book to him. Now I thought, yeah, I'm gonna give that book to him. He's gonna do whatever he's gonna do with it. Maybe read a page and that's it. But he actually read the entire book. And he was more pumped up after reading it than it was beforehand. And we started talking. And then during one of the breaks, he talked about how a business he started during the break. And then as the year continued, he started sharing with me how he's taking boxing and his sparring sessions and all of these things. And then he introduced me to his girl. The bottom line is this, that one student, he made my day. He made it to, when you have those days in the classroom, you're like, man, what is this all for? I can always look forward to him being in my class because no matter how the rest of the day went, I knew that if he was there, that I made a difference in his life and in return, he made a difference in my life. It gave me the motivation to keep going. And so it's students like that make it all worthwhile. And another student, similar story. She is a young writer. Now I teach history, so I don't teach English or writing. But one day we started talking and she's telling me how she writes. And I told her about a screenplay that I was trying to write. And from there, we started the conversation. She's in the middle of writing a book. And that book, now when a student says they're writing a book, I'm thinking she's like 8 pages, 9 pages. She shares it with me. She's like at 80 something pages and it is growing daily. And her book, it's a good book. But the thing is this, it's not about how much she's writing, or it's the fact that she's willing to share that part of her life with me. And we talk about it pretty much on a daily basis. Tells me what's going on in her story, how excited she is. She even asked me if she should become a writer when she grows up. The fact that a student would console and talk to you about these things, once again, this is what it's all about. The second thing I learned and reinforced in my mind is that classroom management is the key to everything. Now, I actually have a new perspective on this, and I knew this. My channel is called The Classroom Manager Guy. I've been doing this 20-something years, and that is my thing, right? And in my classroom, for the most part, I have it on lock regarding the classroom management. I have my systems down. I have the relations, I have everything down. But this year, I got a chance to experience it at a different level. And what that is, for about 2 weeks, I was asked by the principal to be the dean of students, which in essence means deal with the discipline for the students. So for about 2 weeks, I was dealing with all the discipline for the entire school. It's about 1,000 students. So it's quite a bit of students I have to deal with. But that gave me a new perspective. And what I realized is the things that work for a classroom, consistency, expectation, holding kids to a standard, taking care of the small stuff, and the list goes on, applies to a school-wide system as well. Because when I took the dean position for those 2 weeks, it was chaotic. I was putting out fires everywhere. But I quickly realized that in order for it to be successful, I was going to have to put systems in place. Now, the sad part is only there for 2 weeks. So I really couldn't implement all the systems I wanted to implement. But I was able to see kinks in the armor. I was able to see where the school needed to improve regarding systems and planning and everything else. But it reinforced the idea that classroom management is so important in the classroom. And then if you zoom out a little bit, it is so important to have that classroom management style and mentality, the discipline, all that for an entire school. But in the classroom, man, that reinforced the idea that you got to start with that. Before you tackle anything else, you got to solidify your classroom management policies. And the third thing I learned is this: you got to have the mentality of teaching being a long-term game. You got to be in it for the long haul to really see the benefits. First of all, there's a learning curve. And for me, the learning curve was 7 years. It took me 7 years before I finally felt comfortable as a teacher. 7 years might sound like a long time. I mean, it kind of is kind of like a long time, right? But you need to put that time in just to get the skills down, just to get everything down as a teacher. But then here's a nice thing. If you really put the time in and you're in it for the long haul, you get to see things you never would have imagined. As teachers, we plant seeds left and right, planting seeds in the students and hoping that someday, whatever we tell them, we show them everything else, that they will blossom into be this incredible human being. And I got a chance to experience that. Two specific things that happened this year was that former students I met again. And here's the two stories with them. One student, I was actually walking out of my school, and there was this gentleman in a truck, and he goes, "Deal?" I go, "Look at him." I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Hey, I thought it was you." I looked at him and I recognized him, but I couldn't quite put a name on it. And then he told me his name. I'm like, oh my gosh, he was a former student. He is now like 30 something years old, right? So he is no longer a student, no longer a young man. He's a full grown man. And we started talking. And the interesting thing is his kid actually goes to my school. I'll probably have him in another year or two. Uh, but to see that the relationship I formed with that young man, this man is now a grown adult, and we just talked for about half an hour straight about life, man to man life and what is going on, and everything else. But that never would have been possible if I didn't plant the seed so early on in building that relationships as a teacher slash student. So that's an example. Now, this other one, has been one of the best experiences of my entire teaching career. There's this young man. He's a man now, 30 something years old. He has, kids and a wife and everything else. But at the beginning of the year, I reached out to him and told him that our school has these different incentives, and that I thought a great incentive would be for him to come to the school to perform. He is a rapper, a local rapper, and a Christian rapper to be specific, right? And I called him and we talked, and because I kept his number all these years, and through the year we've been keeping in touch, and through the year we've been touching bases, and it all came to be about a month ago. He came to the school and performed for the entire school. Now, what was great about that is that never would have happened if it didn't plant the seeds 15 years ago when he was a student in my class. So as a teacher, some days are so discouraging. Some years can be discouraging. You ever think, is it really worth it? But if you're in this for the long haul, you're eventually going to see how all your hard work will pay off, and you're going to see things and be rewarded in ways you never could have imagined.